Phrases come and go in life, and I think the phrase rent-free has disappeared a little bit over the last couple of years. However, I'm bringing it back today because it's applicable to David Sullivan and I. That man lives rent-free up there, and there's nothing, and I mean nothing, I can do about it. I promise you, I've tried, but he just gets on my tits, and he's done it again. However, the worst thing is, it's off the back of an absolute bollocks transfer rumour regarding Jarrod Bowen. Someone said something, it's been taken out of context, repackaged and put out there as a transfer rumour. But the result is, David Sullivan spoke about it, and what he said has wound me up. So the result of an absolute bollocks transfer rumour has left me annoyed with David Sullivan once more. We're going to be discussing why today. And before we get into it, I just want to point you in the direction of a different YouTube channel. My one. I've got a different YouTube channel where I discuss football that isn't West Ham. I started it 4 years ago, gave up way too quickly and way too easily. However, I've sort of started it again over the last couple of weeks. Today I did a video about Southampton sacking Ian Darke. Now I appreciate it won't be for everyone. Some of you won't want non-West Ham content. Some of you have already had enough of me and don't think I should be making more content. Completely understand. You can blame Charlie for that one because he encourages me to do Tartan Geo. And that's how you can find it. Go into YouTube, put in Tartan Geo, or the links in the description below and the pinned comments. If you are slightly intrigued, please do head on over there and subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'm going to be doing regular content over there and trying to make something of it, because the reality is there's two reasons. One, I like discussing football. I watch a hell of a lot of football. Probably watch 7 games a weekend. I watch a lot of football and I like talking about it. So I'm going to do that. And second, reason number 2, if you could earn a couple of £100 a month, that would help, and it would allow me to keep doing this as a job next season. So that's the 2 reasons. Anyway, thank you to anyone that does appear on Tartan Geo. I look forward to catching up with you then. In regards to this, I'm assuming you've seen the transfer rumour. However, if not, this came out last night. The tweet's from West Ham Central, but put that to one side for just a minute, because the tweet said West Ham to consider offers of around 75 million for Jarrod Bowen, and he was stating the source of such information was Ian Darke. Now, the reason I said to put West Ham Central to one side for the second is because a lot of people don't like him, and I understand why, but it doesn't mean that this isn't true. I always think there's 2 versions of West Ham Central. Version 1, you've got the wind-up merchant. He likes to antagonise other fan bases and at times our own fan base, which I don't like. But there's the other side of West Ham Central, which is him as a news feed when it comes to West Ham news and rumours. And I think he's excellent at what he does in that regard. I think it's very helpful to go on there, scroll down, you can see what's being said by who, and it allows me to go and look for myself. So I've seen that tweet, people sent it to me, had a little look of it, didn't believe it for 1 second, but it made me think, right, what has Ian said and where has Ian said it? Because like any topic I talk about on video, I will always go to the original source so that I can see it with context. I always think the most difficult thing about text is tone, and I think the most dangerous thing about text is removing context. Now, we didn't describe this as dangerous as such, but I think it's important. So I went on the hunt to see where Ian said this so that I can find out how Ian said this. And he was actually speaking to West Ham Fan Zone in regards to a transfer rumour. So Bowen's been linked to Liverpool again. Obviously, Salah still not signed a new deal, so perhaps they'll be in the market for a new right winger. And obviously, Klopp was arguably Bowen's biggest fan. His favourite player outside Liverpool. He's gone now. Hughes has gone in there, not to replace Jurgen Klopp, obviously. Arne Slot's done that, but Hughes has now gone in at the same time as just before Arne Slot even, to oversee the transfer strategy. Didn't spend too much money last summer, 15 million or something like that they spent. So I think there's an assumption they've got a big bit of money to spend this summer. A new right winger may be on the shopping list. So the link to Bowen makes sense. He's one of the best performing, one of the best right wingers in the Premier League, plus he's homegrown. I understand it. So anyway, in regards to that transfer rumour, Ian said, he's a super dedicated and admirable player, and I don't think he'll be one to ever kick up a fuss with his agent or anything like that. But would there be interest in him this summer? Absolutely. Offers could arrive. So he's not even claiming offers will arrive. He's not even claiming that Liverpool will definitely be bidding for him. He's not claiming anything other than someone might bid for him. But Ian goes on to say Bowen is inspirational for West Ham, a top provider and an England international. You can never say never if the right offer came along, but the going rate would be huge with his contract length. If someone came along with 75 million, they'd have to consider it. Now, I don't think there's anything offensive in there at all. I read it as a journalist giving an opinion on something he was asked about. So this is Jarrod Bowen's transfer rumour. Nothing in there is offensive, and I don't think it's inaccurate. Never say never. Every player's got a price. Yeah, fair, that's accurate. And West Ham would have to consider a bid of 75 million. Well, I think we would. I'd hope we'd only consider it for 2 minutes, but let's remove our claret and blue specs here. What is he worth to West Ham? More than 75 million. But what would be fair market value for a 28-year-old player like Jarrod Bowen? I think 75 million is possibly fair for the buying club, but it's not enough for us to sell him. For me to be happy selling Jarrod Bowen, and should I just add, I do not want to sell Jarrod Bowen before the stupid people start typing out. I don't want to sell Jarrod Bowen, but I do strongly believe every player has a price. But it would be over 100 million for me. No one's ever going to pay it, and I don't think they should. There will be better options out there for that 100 million. He's just worth way too much to West Ham. I'd suggest priceless, but he's not priceless, is he? Because he does have a price. It's just unfeasible for any club to pay it. So anyway, the transfer rumour, nobody really believed it, but I went on a voyage of discovery anyway. I wasn't even going to be doing a video about it today, but this is the bit that irked me a lot. Hammers News reached out to the most senior contact at the London Stadium. Now we can all guess who this is, I think. The response from the spokesman for West Ham owners said, "It's true, we have to sell to buy due to PSR like many other clubs." The spokesman for West Ham's owners exclusively told Hammers News, "Let me make this perfectly clear. Jarrod is on a long contract and he's not for sale." Now, the last two things, great. It's clear, he's not for sale, long. Yep, all good. But it's the bit before it that's pissed me off. It's true, we have to sell to buy due to PSR. Now, I'm assuming that that person they're speaking to is David Sullivan. It might not be, and if so, hold my hands up and I apologise, I'm wrong. But I think it's a fair assumption. And here's where I get irked by him. First of all, he doesn't have to respond, because I know people are going to suggest he's playing poker. But he doesn't need to reply. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to clarify anything. But you definitely do not need to clarify a transfer rumour regarding Jarrod Bowen, because nobody believed it in the first place. You would only have to clarify something if people were getting a bit worried and say, well, actually, no, that's not true. But also, you don't have to say the first part, which is, it's true, we've got to sell before we buy. Because bollocks. It is bollocks. I don't believe we do. And I appreciate some will say he's just saying that and pretending we're skint before. But for that to work, other clubs have to believe we're skint. I don't believe they would. For that to work, other clubs would have to read Hammers News for that quote. Now, with the greatest respect to Hammers News, it's a good website. But I very much doubt that we were to go and try and sign a player from the French league, I doubt the person in charge of the transfers at that French club are reading Hammers News. Why would they? They're not. So this information only goes to one group of people, West Ham fans. That's it. Because Sullivan likes to control the narrative. He likes to use these types of contacts to put his story out there, to put the narrative out there. And the reason it's bollocks is because in January, he was claiming that we bid 55 million for John Duran. Both can't be true. We can't be bidding 55 million for John Duran and have no money to spend this summer. Likewise, we can't have no money to spend this summer, but we bid 55 million for John Duran. Now, I have my reservations over that bid. I think we did bid. I just don't think we had any intention of signing him because it was so far short of Villa's valuation. And I think we will have money to spend this summer. So you might wonder, well, why are you getting annoyed? And it's because it's just out of the David Sullivan handbook And this week we're being told, oh, Sullivan's back in charge of the transfer window. This is the type of stuff we're going to have for the duration of the summer. This lack of professionalism. And it's just completely unnecessary. Whether it's Hammers News, West Ham Fans on Clarion Hugh, it doesn't matter who reaches out to him. You don't have to respond. Just zip your mouth. Say nothing at all. You don't have to speak. But when he does, you can't trust what he says anyway. It's just really frustrated me, and I appreciate he shouldn't. But like I said at the start, rent-free, can't help it. And I don't think it's because of this. This is a different topic. But Banzuzi is off to Leipzig, the midfielder that we bid for in January. And apparently it was one that Potter liked and wanted. And that's my weighing scales going off. As in, for parcels, not for me. I'm not standing on the scales on the desk. But the reason this is significant is because we bid for him in January and we didn't sign him. We bid 12 million. He's going to Leipzig for less than 14 million. So not even 2 million more than what we bid. And the reason it's frustrating is because when Karren Brady went on that stupid podcast on Sky Sports, she said, oh, we make an offer and it's our first and final offer every time. We have our valuation. We put it on the table and we say, you accept that or we're walking away. And they rejected it. They said, well, no, you're not having him then for your 12 billion. You're not getting him. Well, had she been a bit more willing to negotiate, Potter might have got his midfielder for less than 2 million more than what we offered. And it's just frustrating. The reason it's frustrating is because this is what we've got coming up in the summer. I'm worried. I have hopes that Kyle McCauley will be able to identify good players. I have hopes. But you can identify the best players in the world all you want, because when it comes to negotiating, this is who we've got. We've got two people who, one is quite hard-nosed and the other one just bad. He's just bad at it. I'm actually concerned for the summer transfer window. I'm usually excited for him. I'm excited to see the new players play, whoever they might be. I'm just concerned with our ability to sign the players that Kyle McCauley and Graham Potter identify and want to bring to West Ham, because we're led to believe that one of those players was Banzuzi and we failed to get him because we made a take it or leave it offer. They left it and now he's going to Leipzig for less than £2 million more. Frustrating. Anyway, gonna love you and leave you. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm doing my podcast with Frankie tomorrow, or that might be Wednesday's video, one of the two. I'll be back tomorrow regardless. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up, subscribe to Hammers Chat, and Tart and Geo, subscribe to Tart and Geo as well if you fancy it. I'll see you over there.